Hey everybody, welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
All right, Dean, you got an electric vehicle, right?
Oh, I do, yes.
Do you have a lot of options for where you can get out there and charge it when you need to charge it?
Maybe not as much as there should be. Well, I have one at home, so
Right.
that's very helpful.
We got one at the office.
We do now have one at the office, yes.
Yeah, and
Liking that.
We'll kind of give an explanation for why we have one at the office.
Well, yeah. But as I travel around, so I have a Tesla Model 3, so you can find, the Tesla charging stations, but other than that, kind of slim pickings.
Just kind of slim pickings, But that's going to change, and we know that's going to change.
It needs to change.
The electric vehicles are coming.
That's right.
They're here, but there's more and more on the way. They're coming soon. Now, if you haven't noticed, we got an extra person sitting here with us today.
Yes.
This doesn't happen too often. We've got Ben Simon with us today. He's our guy on the inside for all things EV charging.
Absolutely.
So that's our topic today. We're going to get into this whole conversation about EV charging stations. We're going to talk about where there might be opportunities for our VARs there.
Yes.
Why BlueStar is in on this game.
Yes.
Where we think there can be opportunity. What the landscape looks like. You've hinted at that a few times before. We're
Absolutely.
Dive a little further than that.
No. Now we got the guru here.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking EVCSaaS. Another acronym that we love to throw around out here.
Like this industry needs more.
Electric vehicle charging solutions as a service, right?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
It? All right, cool.
Yep.
Glad I figured that one out.
All right.
So that's it. That's our topic today. We're going to talk about this landscape. Ben's going to help us figure out a little bit of where the opportunity is. We're going to talk about our partnership with Loop.
And
how that's informed what we're doing here and what we're offering out to VARs to go out and maybe cash in on this shift in society and in the way we operate and the vehicles we drive that's coming down the way.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about industries, what industries you should be targeting, what VARs industries they might be in that we know that could be a good fit for this. We're going to talk about the recurring revenue opportunities here, financing.
What did you just say?
Recurring revenue. Ding, ding, ding. We need to have a bell in here that we ring, or like a big flashing light. Recurring revenue.
Yes.
I always love the opportunity to do that voice. So, that's it. We got all this cool stuff we're going to do, plus our usual value of the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I said, Ben Simon is our guest today. He is the emerging technologies BDM for BlueStar.
Sir.
We brought on board, and it's been maybe last year or so, or
about 9 months now.
Yeah, all right. Well, so his job basically has been to come in and to help out with all these high potential technologies that we're trying to bring into the fold here and introduce to our VARs. So give us a little bit about your background, Ben. Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? And, maybe your stake in the EV charging realm.
Absolutely. Like you said, my name is Ben, and I'm the Emerging Technologies Business Development Manager. I came from a background in software sales and hardware sales with Xerox. Did that for a few years and spent about 12 years in the Army. I got exposed to a lot of emerging technologies, which was very neat.
Yeah.
I was lucky.
They get it first, yeah.
I was lucky enough to get connected with BlueStar and land this position. Excited to be here and excited to talk about EV charging today.
There you go.
Nice. Glad to have you here. So.
And thank you for your service, sir.
Yes, definitely. All right, well then let's get into this then, because I think we need to kind of talk a little bit about the landscape. There was a Tech Bites episode, I don't know, maybe like a month or so back or whatever, where you were kind of talking a little bit about the expectations of EV chargers and what we expected there. I'm going to throw a couple stats at here real quick first and let you guys kind of talk about the opportunity that's out there and why our VARs maybe should be getting involved in that. So the Biden administration, a big part of their what is the Inflation Act, I believe, the Inflation Reduction Act, or the
the Inflation Act.
No, not that.
Yes,
that one.
That was a Freudian slip.
No, the Recovery Act or whatever it was, where they were adding jobs to the market and all that stuff, and the new initiatives that they've had in order to expand out potential business opportunities and expand out our infrastructure. There we go. That was what I was looking for. The
infrastructure.
The infrastructure law they passed. Well, it included $7.5 billion in EV charging investments, $10 billion clean transportation, and over $7 billion in EV battery components. And a big part of that, and this is what I think you singled out before, was that we were looking at 5 They want 500,000 EV chargers available
That's
by
it.
2030
30.
across the country.
Yeah.
So that's not far off.
7 years,
7
dude.
years. Yes.
Yeah, 7
6.5
years
at this point. Yeah.
To put 500,000 of them in the ground. Oof.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's not obviously not just the Tesla stuff. We're talking about opening
Yeah.
up some of the other ones
Absolutely.
for everybody to use. So
Right.
there's obviously going to be a lot more of these charging stations that are expected to be around the country.
Yep.
And then a couple statistics I'll throw out here that you can find on our EVCSaaS site, which of course I'll link in the show notes for you guys to check out. 1 out of 5 new cars will be electric by 2025. So we're only looking at another year and a half even for that.
Yep.
And 120 million EVs are expected to be on the road by 2030. So 120 million EVs, 500,000 charging stations. I mean,
1 out of every 5 cars. Yep.
it's happening. The opportunity's happening.
Yep.
Clearly, the vehicles are coming. The charging stations are coming. So then let's answer that question then. Look, if you can't figure this out already, what's the opportunity here for our VARs?
Well, like you said, there's about $8 billion of federal funding available, which is great because a lot of times we get up to 80% of the project covered, which is really nice when you're selling something that doesn't cost a lot of money because it's federally backed.
Right.
Nice.
And luckily, we're in a space where I like to tell people it's like selling the iPod the year before the iPod came out because we're at about 15% nationwide of all of the chargers that we have set to go.
Right.
For the most part in the U.S., the corridors are starting to get covered, but there's still parts where you're not going to be able to drive your Tesla. Like, for instance, you can't drive from San Antonio to Denver right now in an EV because there's not enough charging stations along the way. So with the government setting aside specifically the NEVI fund is what I wanted to talk about today. It's a great program which allows businesses who want public-facing chargers to put them in these places as long as they're within a mile of the interstate. And they're covering up to 80% of the project cost to include the installation charges.
Mm-hmm. Now that's cool. So what is it called again? The NEVI
program, yeah.
Yeah. So if it's within a mile of an interstate.
A mile of an interstate and in one of the major 12 corridors across the U.S., the federal funding is available. And it's for any vertical. You can put them at hospitals, hotels, convenience stores, wherever you want. And it's specifically targeted at the fast chargers. Nice. So you're looking at that sub 45-minute charge time, which is what a lot of EV drivers are looking for.
Right.
And it's wrapped around the convenience charging model of charging while you're doing your day-to-day activities. What I thought was interesting is Forbes put out an article a couple months back where they interviewed a lot of EV drivers, and it was 90% of them wanted to charge while they're already doing their day-to-day activities. And they listed shopping malls as well as grocery stores as their top 2 requested locations for EV charging.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess unlike a traditional gas station where you just go pump, you're there for maybe 5 minutes and you're done and move on. Obviously, it's a little more time potentially. It's still relatively short, is what we're getting. We're trying to get as short as possible, but still something where you're not going to want to just sit there and wait the entire time.
Exactly. 45 minutes, you pop in the store, get your grocery shopping done, and you're done charging. You're at 100%.
Nice.
I love the analogy. You can sell an iPod before the iPods came out. And dude, when you think about it though, I mean that's kind of the opportunity.
Yeah,
here
it really is.
The fact that
we know it's happening.
We've got enough gas stations out there. It's not hard to find gas. But if 1 out of every 5 cars is going to be electrified, where are we going to charge them all? The infrastructure does not exist. So if you could rewind back to, I don't know, the 1920s and 1930s and put in a gas station or something like that at that point in time, that's kind of what we're talking about, number one. Number two, when you think about the reseller's perspective, they often, or never since payments, have they really been able to get in the revenue of something that's being installed, right? So, I mean, if you take the traditional POS reseller, they're going to go out there, they're going to install the point of sale. They've got the great relationship happening with the retail establishment or whatnot, but that's pretty much it. Then payments came along, they could start getting a couple nickels on the payments. But this opportunity to get into and be a part of the revenue share on the electric vehicle, that's something that's very, interesting. And that's part of the overall opportunity. So, and as we've talked about, the VAR 2.0, when you think about what is a VAR going to do, or now moving forward, you have to look to expand what you can bring to the table to the people that you have a relationship with. If you have a relationship with that retail establishment or that grocery store or the hotel or whatever it might be, or gas stations, right? We got a lot of resellers that play in the C-store environment. These are exactly the types of people that you want to approach with this type of an opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, then, so let's talk a little bit about our partnership here then with Loop. And why did we get involved with them? How did that come to be? And what goes into their solutions to make this actually happen?
Yeah, well, we've been looking at expanding emerging tech at BlueStar for a while now and creating opportunities for monthly recurring revenue because, in 2023, it's never been more important to add baseline revenue to your business. And so with some of our partners, we got together and got introduced to Loop through FabCon, and we were able to help them put together such great solutions like the Focus Unit, which is a collaboration between Loop, Smartify, and FabCon, which is where you're going to see the reoccurring revenue from advertising dollars.
Right. Yeah, I think there's good stuff there.
I'll throw in here that Loop is channel friendly. They understand the channel. So if you are a reseller, you now have a partner, and that was one of the attractive things for us is, okay, understanding there are a couple players out there, right, in this charging world, and there's going to be more. I mean, I'm sure they're going to start coming out of the woodwork with the amount of dollars that the government's putting behind it, amount of dollars that private's going to put behind it, those types of things. But you have a company that was kind of born out of the electric industry, so they already knew the electrical world, electrical contracting type of world. A couple of the guys that run the company kind of came from that environment, got into that environment, but they understand the channel and working through resellers really, really well. And that is their play. And so as we've always talked about, resellers obviously want to embrace those people that are going to be there for them. So they already have built in a network of support. They know how to support resellers. They've got training programs behind the scenes that can get you up to speed or just get you, a little bit along the way, and they can do the hard work, if you will, of getting it. So anyway, they've got a really robust plan that is built for being channel friendly.
Yeah. And what's great about that and being channel friendly is Loop makes the hardware and the software. So their software is fully customizable. Nice. So let's say you had a hotel and you wanted to be able to have your customers pay with their rewards points. Well, Loop, that's easy for them to do compared to the competitors. They just do all of that in-house and they can integrate with almost any system out there.
Well,
that's a really good point. I mean, it's like this turnkey solution, right? It's the hardware and the software that can be deployed. So really the solution is there, right? It's just a matter of getting the right relationship going or with these folks and moving forward. Maybe you could talk a little bit, Ben, because there are a couple stratas, right? Meaning you can become a fully authorized Loop installer, but that's more of a rarity because now you're like electrician level where you're installing it, or you can just be a partner and tap into the Loop network of installations partners.
Absolutely, yeah. Loop has got a great existing nationwide and covering Canada as well, certified install partners, which you're more than welcome to use if you're going to go and get into the Loop space of selling. But you're also welcome to use electricians of your own. Loop has a training program, so if you have electricians on staff where you have a great relationship with a contractor, Loop will go out and get them trained up and make sure they know everything they need to get these in the ground.
That's awesome.
So think about it. Here you are, you're a reseller. You own the relationship with restaurants, retail, whatever in your area, government entities. You're going to know an electrician or two. I guarantee it along the way.
I'm sure, yeah.
There you go. That's what we're saying. I mean, Loop can help enable that. And these are the types of partners. And that was, again, part of the attraction to BlueStar was, these guys kind of get it. They understand how to develop a solution around this ecosystem that can really scale very, very quickly.
Right.
And that's the whole idea. We've kind of done a little crawl, walk, run on our side too, of kind of launching this and starting to get this forward. And there's a lot that BlueStar had to learn along the way, and still learning, quite candidly, some of the nuance on it. But we got it down now, and a good partner here to move forward.
Yeah, because this has been behind the scenes, kind of happening, for the last couple of years or so. I mean, we've really been, I remember EVCSaaS coming up at some point, quite some time ago, and it's been kind of a slow progression. But to your point, it's because we needed to make sure that we got them where it needed to be for this channel ecosystem.
That's right.
And I think that's where it's important. I think for some of ours to understand, because maybe you've been burned in the past by some of these emerging technologies. Maybe you've heard like, hey,
I got a good one.
Here's the latest and greatest emerging technology that's going to be the thing and make you all tons of money, and then it just kind of fizzles and burns, or isn't really a fit for our channel. Isn't really a fit with the other industries that our VARs are primarily working in. But I think this is one where we've done enough work behind the scenes, and then as we're moving along, and to your point, Loop has been. They've been very good at getting out there and getting in front of our folks. I know at VARTech last year, there was a very popular booth for people to visit. Ben, every time you post stuff from your travels with them on LinkedIn, I always just see so many people around. There's always seems like there's a crowd always hanging out that wants to see them and their solutions. And that's, I think that should be hopefully your understanding. If you are not someone who's been to any of those shows yet, has not seen and met with Loop and seen the reaction to what they do, you should understand that look, we're not talking about just some one more piece of emerging technology that we're just hoping throwing at the wall and hoping sticks. This one is legit.
You know, and I've done a lot of trade shows with different products before, but I can tell you at customer end shows, you have a line. You know, I'm sitting there talking to somebody. I got 5 people waiting to talk to me. There's never enough people in the booth when you have EV charging from Loop. People are coming from all over the show, and all they want to talk about is EV charging because a lot of these customers that own businesses know that they're going to be required to have them in their parking lot.
Yep. Definitely.
Maybe we can get into a little bit of the basics around EV charging and not spend a lot of time here, but let's just go over the 3 levels of charging, real quick. So, kind of back to how we opened the show. I've got a little charger at my house. It's technically what is called a level 2 charger. Level 1 charger, I don't know, Ben, that's like plug-in, right?
Yeah, level 1 charger is like a trickle charger. You know, it's going to take, depending on your car model, 12 to 24 hours to go 0 to 100. It's nice to have at your house because it usually comes with the car. It's pretty affordable, but if you're driving a lot and you're not parked at your house a lot, it's not really a great option.
Right.
And Loop does cover level 1 all the way through level 3. They have a great option for a home model that's great for apartment buildings or residential. And then getting into level 2, you're looking at that 4 to 8 hour charge time, again, depending on the model of level 2 and the model of your vehicle. But the great options, and to go into level 2 charging is not even a huge expense for a lot of people.
No, right.
It's very reasonable. You'd be surprised at what you can get into it for.
Yeah, and before we get to level 3, I mean, like you can put pedestals, right, and mount a couple of these easily at I like the fact that you tapped into residential because there's a lot of apartment complexes, things of that nature. I mean, these are going to be gold mines for developing this because unlike me, I have a house with a garage and I can plug it in. But if you live in an apartment or if you live in an urban dense area, it's harder, right, to get your car charged, and so that's where these are going to start popping up.
And let's be honest, there's going to be the demand for it because more and more consumers are going to want these vehicles, and as more of them want them, they're going to demand, hey, I need a charging station that is convenient for me. I need it either to be either where I'm working, where I'm living, someplace that I am on a regular basis, and the demand is going to force this to happen, even if the particular places that we're talking about don't think, even if they don't see it as viable and think like, I don't see any reason to do this. There's just not a lot of electric cars around here. Well, there's not a lot of electric cars around here potentially because because you're not offering this yet. You're not seeing them because they're not coming to you. They're going to the places where
that's a really good point, right? Yeah, that's what you do. All these cars are smart enough to pick out where the next charger is. Right. So you're not seeing them. They're just moving on. So we got the trickle charger, we got the level 2, and then we got the big daddy, right?
Yep, level 3. You're talking about your sub 45-minute charge time depending on your model, and Loop covers the full spectrum all the way down to the 75 kW. Yeah, it's great.
And those are the fast chargers. So that's where you're pulling up and so I did that at a Myers, and it's to your point, it's kind of like what I'm gathering is that people that own EVs, it's just a way of life, right? Right. Oh, I got to run to the store. So when I go to run to the store, I'm going to plug in while I'm there. Right. And I was there for like 15 minutes and my car was almost completely, it went from whatever. I got 60% of charging out of that. And that's just the way that's the way it is, right? Yeah. And that's just the new way. Instead of going to the gas station on my way to the store, I'm just charging at the store when I get my stuff done. So,
which is exactly why you want these in businesses. I went to a hotel show recently and I was talking to a lot of these owners and they say, if they don't have EV charging, people who drive these cars and people who are renting cars from Hertz, because Hertz, 60% of their fleet's now EV, they're not going to stay at your hotel.
Yeah, that's right.
And the nice thing about Loop is they're integrated with all the booking sites. So when you can sort by EV chargers, and they're on Apple Maps and Google Maps. So it's really putting your business out there, one, as a nice add-on for your customers, and two, it's almost like a marketing tool because it's going to draw more business to your property, whether it's a restaurant, hotel, shopping, because all those EV drivers are now going to patronize your business.
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about these industries, obviously, the potential places to place these. In retail is obviously an obvious one, grocery stores, hospitality venues. You kind of mentioned healthcare hospitals earlier. Yeah. Are there any others, maybe talk a little more about that, and are there any other places where, we're looking to potentially install these that our VARs might already be working with and have a relationship with?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think you're starting to see them a lot at businesses. Like we have EV charging here at BlueStar because it's a great benefit for employees and retention and attracting top talent. A lot of people from my generation are choosing to drive EV and they want to work at a place that supports that.
And even old guys like Dean here. So,
he's a young guy like me.
Well, that's good. That's important. I think obviously the business side of things, you've got to, to your point, again, it's one more, thing that you can throw out there to, someone you have a relationship with where you can say something like, hey, you know what, maybe you weren't thinking about this before. Maybe this wasn't an idea that you had in mind, but guess what? You can attract younger talent with this.
Yeah.
If you're struggling to attract young talent,
For sure.
guess what? This might be you might not think it's that important, but it just might be. Somebody might make the decision to work for you instead of somewhere else just because they can charge their car there every day.
And that's what I love about our focus unit, which is our programmatic digital advertising charging unit. I got a great response from movie theaters when I was out at CinemaCon. They were like, this is fantastic. I would love to have this in my parking lot. The charge time, you can get about 30% charge while you're watching a movie. And being able to have some of their own ads cycled through, they're talking about they want to throw up movie theater ads and promotions for upcoming films and stuff. And they absolutely loved the idea of the focus unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what he's talking about there is a charging unit that has a screen in it, basically, right?
Yeah.
And so not only is there revenue coming off of the charge, but there can be revenue that's coming off the program that is running on the display and the digital signage. And it can get highly targeted. That's why they call it programmatic. And there's another boon there. But that's a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah, it
we'll
is.
get
Yes.
into.
And we'll talk a little more about that recurring revenue here too. So, I think
When you think about other verticals, real quick,
Right.
talk to us a little bit about gov, right? So government, whether it's state, local, federal, right? There's money there. There are municipalities, there are cities that are like tasked right now. They've got
hasn't the Postal Service committed to EV vehicles?
FedEx,
soon?
UPS, Postal Service,
exactly.
cities, counties, states. You're seeing RFPs for the NEVI grant coming from just about
that's
everyone
it.
you
Yeah.
can imagine. We have responded. We're responding and helping our VARs respond to so many RFPs on the government side of things.
Yeah.
And it's a great program to get into. And one thing that Loop kind of specializes in is meeting the requirements of this because they're so specific on what you have to have for these NEVI grants. And one of the big ones is it has to be made in the USA. And Loop is made and assembled in El Segundo, California. So it's a perfect fit.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
But see. Look at the opportunity there. Literally, we're talking, it's billions of dollars. This is like little amounts of money. When you disperse billions of dollars, it's and so you're seeing deal sizes, right, Ben, from maybe 30K, or up to tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of projects that are getting queued up, right, to start this investment. How do you get to 500,000 chargers in 7 years? It's a massive effort to do it, and the ball is starting to roll, which is why we feel it's so important to kind of raise the red flag or the flag of opportunity.
And I can tell you the VARs that we are working with that have grabbed onto this and kind of been the early adopters here at BlueStar are loving the product. They're loving the sales cycle, And 2023, things are a little uncertain with a lot of businesses, and so when you're talking about bringing on a product that's federally backed with dollars, you can't really lose. You should absolutely be considering selling EV charging.
Yeah, definitely. I love the fleet angle too because I think most people think about EV charging. They're just thinking personal vehicles. They're thinking, the stuff that we all are going to be driving.
That's
and
a really good
charge
point.
them at.
Yeah.
But I think again, when we're talking about the Postal Service and a lot of private businesses that do a lot of a lot of fleet work, whether it is delivery trucks, whether it is eventually we're going to have electric semis at some point too. And I think that's another important angle, and that's where some of our VARs who maybe they just play in the industrial side of things. Maybe they're just strictly warehouse and supply chain dealers.
Yeah.
If you're thinking this hasn't anything to do with me,
it does.
It will,
It does.
because
It will.
at some point those same people we are working with, they're going to have fleet vehicles that are going to be electric as well, and they're going to need to be able to charge them also.
Yeah, and lately I've been producing a lot of LinkedIn content around EV, and I can tell you I've had a few distribution centers reach out and say, hey, this is on our initiative for our company by 2025.
Nice.
We want 50% of our vans and trucks to be EV vehicles. Let's start talking about it.
Yep.
What can we do? How do we get into it? Who can you connect me with?
Yeah.
So the opportunity is absolutely there.
There you go.
And then there's that whole there's the green angle, right? When you got companies that are trying to embrace this so that they can
Some kind of ESG initiative.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. As a part of it, but it's happening, right?
Yep.
I drove by we've got a little Amazon satellite DC, kind of close to where we live, and just the other day noticed the whole lineup of EVs that they have and all these charging stations. So
it's not too often that you get a clear warning and ahead of time are notified that there is a trend coming
Yeah.
that if you don't get in on, you're
Right.
going to get left behind.
That's
This
right.
is one of those ones that is about as glaring of a red light special as I think you're going to get right now. Of like, hey, cash in on this. This is the time to get involved.
What's fascinating to me, just kind of taking a step back, it's highly decentralized right now. I guess, and Ben, what's your take here? I mean, I guess some of the gas stations are getting into it. Shell's going to have their own play, those folks. But there's opportunity for a lot of people right now. It's not like it's not dominated by any one entity at this point.
No,
right?
and the way the federal funding is set up, depending on the program that you're talking about, there's funding available for everyone who has a public-facing parking lot.
Nice.
Everyone's qualifies for something. And, working with, our team here at BlueStar and our partners at Loop, we'll go out there and help you find which grants that you qualify for and kind of hold your hand while you go through the process with your customers to make sure that they're capturing every dollar possible so that we can give you this solution at little to no cost.
Yeah, man. Like I would just almost think, if I were a VAR and I had any customer that has, like you said, a public parking lot, I would almost be walking in there to them. And if I didn't know this already, just asking them, hey, when
What are your
people come
plans?
here, like, when people come here, how long are they typically here? And if it's any more than half an hour, hour or more, at that point, start that conversation. I mean, if you have anybody that's going to be spending that much time and parked in your parking lot, why wouldn't you offer something
And
like
what
this?
resonates with these owners that have these buildings and these parking lots is, you're paying the tax on that parking lot. What is it doing for you? Are you making money on the parking lot? No, you're just spending money, and it's a liability. Let's make that liability
Convert it.
an asset.
That's a good
and
point.
let's create extra revenue for your business.
Yeah. There you go.
Monetizing the parking
All right,
lot.
well, then let's get into that extra revenue. We love the SaaS model. We love recurring revenue. It's a big,
nice segue,
it's
Ben.
that's some of our favorite things to talk about here at on the pod. So let's talk about this ongoing profitability. Where does it sit for, I think we can maybe talk about this twofold. Like, where does it sit for the end users, for those who decide to install one of these in their lots, but more importantly for our VARs, where does it stand for them? Like, what are they getting out of this?
Yeah, well, with the end user, obviously they're getting a piece of everything. They're getting the EV charging revenue, which actually is quite surprising. I remember when I first sat down and I looked at the projections and the actuals that we're seeing out there. It's a lot of money that you can make on EV charging as an end user customer.
Nice.
And what's nice about doing EVCSaaS as a service through BlueStar is as a VAR, you can share in the revenue of the programmatic advertising, which can be a pretty good revenue stream for you.
Yeah.
We're seeing these screens all over the country, so we're getting a really good idea of what they can produce. And, the ranges when you're sticking to the top 50 DMA, specifically in the top 20, are quite profitable. It's not something you're going to want to miss out on.
Yeah, you're seeing use cases where maybe you can pay them off within months or less than a year. Maybe those are a bit of an anomaly, but it's not uncommon to see a 2-year payoff of all
absolutely.
the equipment, right? And then it's just gravy after that.
Yeah, there's a screen in the ground, I believe in Florida, and it was the ROI on it was 1 year and 2 months, and they did not calculate the EV charging revenue for payback. It was just off of the programmatic, so you left 2 revenue streams untouched.
Yeah, right. And it's happening. So
That's
that's a lot of resellers, at least on the point of sale side, they understand the recurring revenue. I think the ADC folks and those that we cater to as well, they understand it conceptually as well. Some of them have it into their business practice, but this is definitely a way. I mean, who doesn't want a new way to get in front of your customer, number one, or a new way to get to new customers, period, with this type of thing, and make recurring revenue off of it. It's got so many win-wins behind it.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
Well, all right. So let's finish off by talking about the financing part of this then,
Absolutely.
because we're big fans also at BlueStar of helping our VARs be able to finance these projects and help them then, in turn, their customers do the financing piece of things too. So what does that look like with EVCSaaS? What does the financing look like? How do we help out there? And and what are the VARs responsible for on their end?
Yeah, so the way that it works is that when somebody is looking at buying an EV charging, you have multiple ways. Obviously, you can pay cash for it. Otherwise, you can finance it traditionally, a 5 to 7 year term. Otherwise, what I'd really like to talk about is Loop as a Service Plus, which is a great option for especially a smaller business because you can be cash flow positive with nothing out of pocket from day one if you qualify for Loop as a Service Plus.
Nice.
And we're buying down the price with these government grants and then breaking up the payments and using the charging revenue to pay back the term on that.
That's nice. Yeah. So you're saying within a short amount of time. So wait a minute. Explain the plus one more time. So they're not.
You're putting nothing out of pocket.
To
include the cost of the installation, which is unique to Loop because most of these places only let you do the hardware.
There you go.
and you're remaining cash flow positive from day one. And when we do those revenue estimates for you, it's as conservative as possible. We're basing it off of one charge for 45 minutes a day. That's it. And obviously with EV adoption growing, that number is going to go up and you're going to see better. But when you do it on that model, you're cash flow positive day one. Your year one is a positive year on the investment. Year two is positive, and it's going to grow as the device gets more and more paid off.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I can't imagine a better scenario.
I know,
what am I doing behind this mic? I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta go install some EV charging stations.
We'll start our own little VAR business and start making some money off of it ourselves.
Absolutely.
I think we have an inside track on them too. So. All right, hey, this is good stuff. All right, well,
when you think about that, not only that, but additional value-added services. Look, once you know how resellers think, right? I mean, this is just another way of getting in front of them. But there's you can leverage it as a way to get into new customers. Maybe there's that hotel down the street or that retail that you have never been able to get into, as a part of your normal business. But now you've got a truly unique offering that you can walk into, become a new partner of theirs, a new solution integrator, and then think of all the ways that you become that trusted partner now moving forward with future business. So
very good point. Could give you a competitive advantage. Like, hey, I know you're using the other crew over here for most of your needs right now, but have they talked to you about EV charging yet?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's chat about that a little bit. You get embedded, and the next thing you know, you're the guy. You're the guy for everything.
Yeah. And who doesn't want to diversify their offerings? I mean, if you're a reseller, I know you and I, John, we talk about this ad nauseum in the sense that, well, if you're just a one-trick pony, you're probably going to be dying or not in business within the next few years. Right. So a diversification of your product portfolio is the way to go. This is a hot new topic, a hot new product. That's why we're really excited, as you can tell, about bringing it to our customer base to enable them to grow their business.
Yeah, I mean, we would not be doing this if we didn't feel like we were backing it up and that there was something actually viable there. We're not big fans of advertising ourselves and BlueStar, necessarily. If it means, but if this means there's opportunity for our VARs, for them to go out, to grow their business, to expand, to add something to their tech stack, as you always like to say. I mean, that's why we're having this conversation, because there really is some great opportunity there. And more importantly, the opportunity is there because it has to happen. Like there's no way we're backing off of this. We're not going to suddenly, in the next year or two, suddenly decide, you know what, never mind. We're just fossil fuels all the way. Forget it. Let's scrap all those EVs. We're not doing this. It's not going to happen.
No. Yeah. No matter where you land politically, I mean, it's going to happen. Right?
Yeah,
in the sense that what kind of needs to happen for growth to continue to happen out there. But it's fascinating. But it is truly one of those moments where you sit there and you think to yourself, oh my God, we are at the beginning of this tsunami that's about to happen. Yeah. I mean, that when you talk about true emerging technologies, okay, I mean, you can look at other things, and we look at robotics and stuff like that, but and then that'll all come as well. But this is truly just so unique of an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to explain a little more to you, the VAR, how you can get in on this and how you can work with us to get involved in EVCSaaS in a moment. But first, as always, thank you so much to the sponsors of the TEConnect podcast, the TEConnect program. We appreciate your support of us to make this happen.
The long list.
Yes.
That we cannot rattle
every
off.
now and then we'll run through it when I can actually be looking at it, but this isn't one of those days. If you like the show, we need to hear from you. If you've got thoughts about all this, if you're like, hey, I'd love to hear a little bit more about X portion of this, drop us a note. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, leave us a comment. If you're subscribed on any podcast platform, if there's any opportunity to rate and review the show, do that. You can leave some comments there. I look for these reviews. I'm happy to read them on air and relay questions if you got them. I don't mind, and also suggest topics to us.
I was going to say, maybe they have an emerging tech they want us to evaluate.
There you go. Exactly.
We're opinionated type of people.
Even if it's not something that we're currently, involved in, we're happy to do the diligence,
give you our take,
research,
give
absolutely. us our take, find someone who can, talk about it or something. So send those topics into us. There's always a link in our show notes where you can go and submit a topic to us of your choice. By doing so, we will send you a TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
Boom, just like that.
That's simple. Just a nice
summer wear.
Nice summer, soft, comfortable t-shirt just for telling us, hey, here's what I'd like to hear about on the show. Doesn't matter if we even use it or not. We're going to send you that T-shirt just for taking the time to clickety-clack.
Ben, do you have a shirt?
I don't have a shirt.
my gosh.
I feel like I need a shirt.
We got to
We'll
get
get
him
you a
one.
shirt,
Yeah.
dude.
I think we might still have some up in the front office here. So we'll grab it on the way out if we have to. So, and of course, if you want to stay connected with us on a regular basis, first of all, follow BlueStar on LinkedIn. It's always where you can find out great content of what we're doing, where we are. We always do recaps of the podcast. We have our end user surveys. Ben's posting great stuff on LinkedIn. Follow him. You're going to see all kinds of cool stuff about the EV charging world and some other emerging technologies he's working on too. And of course, you can also reach out to us anytime directly on Twitter at TEConnectPod or email us TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up here. So our value of the VAR today, I want to make sure our VARs understand what they can do next in order to get in on this. If someone,
we've sold them on the idea. Now what do we do?
Exactly. So if you're all hyped up and you're like, man, I got to get in on this. I see the opportunity. These guys are right. I want to be the selling the iPhone before the iPhone or the iPod or whatever it was. I want to be that person. So if they're interested in EVCSaaS, where do they get started? How are we going to help them get into this?
They need to contact me. I've set up a fantastic training program. I'm going to take you A to Z all the way through and make sure your entire sales team's ready to go, ready to quote it, ready to talk about it, and ready to understand all the nuances that go into EV charging and battery load management.
There you go.
That's right.
I wasn't going to directly single you out and say contact Ben, but now that you've thrown it out
I'm the
there,
man.
He's the man.
Contact us. I'll give you his email address. I'll put you right in touch with him. He's more than happy to chat about it. So
we have some resources too. We should put them in the show notes. We've got an EVSaaS landing page, things of that nature. There's a form there you can fill out to get in touch with Ben as well.
Yeah, and you can just see what they look like because they just look cool. It's one of those things I love looking at these things. I love it when I come to the office and I see the chargers we have out front.
Nice.
Yep. It's really cool. It's again we were talking on the way over here. Like I'm all about my next vehicle going to be at the absolute least a hybrid, if not full EV, probably full EV by that point. And I'm gung ho about the idea of having places like this to to come charge it up. So
get some gas. Yeah.
I sit there and look at it. And I'm like, man, I want to use that. Can I use that? Park my car next to it that has that's just a gas guzzler and pretend I'm part of the crowd.
Righto.
So, anything else you wanted to add on getting involved there, Dean?
No, I mean Ben. He's been with us as you know for 9 months, but he is way deep in it right now. Yeah. Awesome resource. Knows what he's talking about. Already connected into the ecosystem. I would highly recommend getting in contact with us. No
definitely.
doubt.
Yeah, and if you're hitting up any shows, if you're coming to VARTech, any kind of shows that
how many shows have you done in the last
he's all
6
over,
months?
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
Been a lot, yeah. You'll see me at shows. I've been to Vegas more times this year than I care to admit.
There you go.
And that's not necessarily a good thing.
I guess after a while, you just get tired of it. It's just like, I'm just here for the show.
It's always fun getting in front of our customers and working with our VARs and seeing it live in action in the booth. So it's a good time.
Love it.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, as always, let's wrap up the show with our favorite segment, What's TEConnecting with You? This is where we get to chat about anything in the world of science, tech, business, innovation that we just feel like talking about. It's something just on top of mind right now. So Ben, what's TEConnecting with you right now?
Well, I'm going to make you feel a little nostalgic by bringing you back to the future to let you know that in 2024, the Delorean is back with an EV.
Whoa!
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Classic styling. It's a little bit more rounded than the original model, but they kept the gull wing doors.
Nice.
Well, they have to. Yeah, you got to do that.
Who makes Delorean? DeLorean?
Nobody makes DeLorean. DeLorean, the name, the rights to the name were bought in the 1990s by a guy down in Texas who owned a restoring specifically for DeLoreans.
Get out of town.
And he has done all the paperwork and moved forward, and they just released, Car and Driver released the images, and 2024 release date of the DeLorean.
Get out of town. That thing will sell like a hotcake.
It really will.
There's no doubt about it.
That's all. Now, I mean, does it pretty much look the same? Have they restyled it a little?
It's a little bit more modern, but you can definitely tell without reading the badging on it that it's a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Like the profile is very DeLorean-esque.
Yeah.
So
I have to wonder, does that mean we're going to get a new Back to the Future film? Like, I know there's been plenty of people saying that was going to happen at some point, and obviously I think
a new cast.
Yeah, so we're kind of beyond. I don't know, Christopher Lloyd might still be game for it. I mean, he's still
That's
acts,
true.
Well, I missed betting on the Cubs winning the World Series with their predictions, so I need another movie so I can make the play right.
There you go. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, I can't. I got
Dean,
now
what
I
do you
got
got?
to Google on it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to be all over that.
All right, my friend. So I'm going down a path here. Here's the headline. Okay. Engineers build the first house from concrete blended with, what do you think? disposable diapers.
Oh, no.
Okay, so researchers
That was not what I was
suggest
gonna
that
think.
shredding diaper material can replace up to 40% of the sand used in concrete production. John, are you in the no? You already
I'm
built
out
a
of
house.
well,
Ben, are you getting a house anytime soon?
Building a house right now, but it's not.
Are you
gonna be made
using
out of
disposable
diapers.
diapers, sir?
Now, are these used disposable diapers or just disposable diapers?
Well, I'm going to go, I don't know, dude. But in an attempt
I
to
mean,
solve two
why would you
environmental
take
problems.
brand new diapers and do this?
Exactly, right? Now
I've
you're
been
just wasting
throwing
the
them
diaper.
away.
Researchers at the University of Kitsuyatshu in Japan have found that shredding diapers can be used to replace 9 to 40% of the sand used in making concrete without reducing its strength. So, which is really important, right? I mean, you got to have the strength behind the concrete that you're doing. I haven't sold you on this yet. There you go.
Well,
I mean,
I can agree
do you
on the
want a house
strength.
made out of poop or not?
No, but I mean, those diapers do hold, a lot
true.
of liquids
That is
without
very
leaking. And I've
true.
been impressed having a 2-year-old. But
That is some pretty potent technology they got there.
don't know if I'm going to be calling my contractor.
Everybody's got to do their part to, ratchet down. What is it? The 50 billion tons of sand used every year. They contribute 7% to the global greenhouse, whatever. So
Right,
I don't.
right.
This is one of those cases where I think they're going a little bit too far, right? You don't need to get into disposable.
I mean,
diapers.
I suppose maybe it's not going to maybe we're talking like a proof of concept here of like, okay,
Well, they proved the concept.
we
They
know
got the
what we're
concept,
doing.
Yeah.
But then again, I also think like if that's a thing, like I'm bummed that I'm past the diaper stage with my kiddo. that I couldn't have
missed opportunity.
Yeah,
you were going to build a shed.
all
What
those-
what were you going to do with that?
all
Yeah.
those bags that I've had over the
dude,
years.
it's
If I could have,
endless,
if I
isn't
could
it?
have sold those,
Yes,
You know,
and made a little money off of it.
yeah,
felt better about you're contributing.
yeah,
to the-
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, but I think I'm more likely to buy the DeLorean than a house made out of diapers.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is true.
Oh, well.
Okay,
So that's
okay.
what's TEConnecting with me. House is made out of diapers. John, what do you got,
Well,
man?
on a somewhat related note, have you ever heard of the term Wishcycling?
No.
So apparently it's the idea of recycling, but the fact that people apparently recycle with wishful items that they think they should be able to recycle and are throwing into their bins, but aren't.
Yes.
This is
my
kind of
kids. My kids are totally. Yeah,
Wish cyclers? Yeah.
100%.
Like this can go in recycling, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it can't go in recycling.
But let's be honest, it's also extremely confusing sometimes. And,
Yeah.
and
Oh, for sure.
This article, which as always, we got these links in the show notes here, but this article came from The Conversation, and they're a British publication because apparently Britain is actually going to kind of start trying to crack down on this.
Oh,
and
what you put?
and ensure exactly what is and isn't being used.
Yeah.
And they point out that like you can be in a neighborhood where street to street, if you're using different vendors, might have different expectations or different parameters about what you can and can't recycle. And I know mine has done that. They've changed over the years where at one point it was like strictly like bottles, plastic, cardboard, that's it, and it had to be very specific types of bottles, plastic, and cardboard.
Yeah.
And then they've loosened it up a little bit, and they've added more stuff, and they've done that a couple times. And now I'm at the point where I just don't know.
Well, I think they've loosened it up because they just throw it in with the trash anyway at this point, right?
I know, and that's it. That's the unfortunate part, is
voodoo.
because behind the scenes, if you go research this, you find out that probably more than well over half, I'd say even three-quarters of what you're probably throwing in recycling doesn't actually end up getting recycled for one reason or another, either because it's too dirty to recycle, it's too expensive. It's not actually accepted.
So what's this article saying now?
So they're basically saying that the UK government has outlined a goal of recycling. They're setting the target for 65% of all household waste to be recycled by 2035.
Wow.
With no more than 10% of this waste ending up in landfill.
I got diapers.
Yeah, but it says it says a recent survey shows that 80% of UK households are still unclear on how to recycle effectively.
Sure.
Does it need washing out? Can I flatten items? What do I do if the cardboard gets wet? All this kind of stuff.
geez,
So
yeah.
it's one of those things that I was on board with recycling early, even though I also kind of think like, why do I pay extra to recycle when the whole
recycle?
idea is that I'm supposed to be helping? I don't know. But I'm at least trying to be environmentally conscious. One of those small ways I feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
And then you start finding out over time that probably most of what I'm sticking in that bin every week is not actually getting recycled.
Paying to stick into the bin.
Exactly. Exactly. They
A
pay
premium
extra.
to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir. May I have another? Yeah.
No.
So
Well, we'll get you green with an EV. How about that?
there you go. That's right. That can be a way I can legitimately feel good about doing it. So until someone tells me that somehow that's not working.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
That is what's TEConnecting with us. Ben Simon, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining us
Ben.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on the show. We'll probably have Ben back actually in the future to talk a little bit more about some of that programmatic signage maybe. maybe, and get
absolutely.
And we had to tease
involved in
that a little bit today. Yeah,
Exactly.
Mhm.
So we do have to unplug for the day, but until next time, go out and get involved in this EV charger thing, man. I mean,
no doubt, dude.
Seriously, it
Yep.
feels like, I know people think money hanging from trees is just a myth, but this one,
Yeah.
This is money hanging from trees.
yeah,
There you go.
this one feels like there's a little more opportunity there than usual. And, I don't know, recycle your diapers, I guess.
Yes, please.
Hey, what about adult diapers?
Oh, didn't
we
even
could
go
go,
there.
I mean-
Yes.
Sturdier walls.
There you go.
All right, we're
A lot
done.
more fibrous. Yes.
We're done here.
And until next time, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is brought to you by ELO. All right, are you looking to meet the needs of both hospitality and retail customers and their employees, as well as busy on-the-go consumers?
I mean, you should.
I mean, if you're out there selling an EV solution to hospitality and retail,
Right.
maybe,
Yes.
maybe sell some other stuff to them also.
I would think so.
We're in the process of doing that. Start having a conversation about EV.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir.
the new ELO M60 Pay is a mobile POS computer designed to support everyday business. It's a rugged enterprise-grade all-in-one device with 6-inch HD touch display, Android 10 OS, Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 octa-core processor.
What?
I'll never get over saying that. It's so much fun to say.
Octa-core?
Octa-core.
Yes.
Like a Bond villain or
Have
something.
you seen
You're
this
like,
device, by the way?
Yes.
It's
It's
sexy.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Yeah, we
Yep.
remember we had on a commercial on Bon Appetit.
Yes, that's
Plug,
right.
plug for the defunct BlueStar cooking show.
Cooking show,
Go
yes.
check out that playlist.
You can still,
and stuff,
you can
yeah.
still watch it. Yeah.
And of course, the M60 has all the requisite connectivity options. So, we've talked about before. I'm not a big shopping guy. And restaurants I find annoying too.
Yes.
If you just want to get on the go.
You want frictionless. I know you.
Especially
want
when you got
frictionless.
kiddos, you know what
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like.
yeah.
And they get restless and they're done. They want to go.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to pay quickly. How nice is it when your hostess, or your host can come to you and hand,
Zippity-doo.
just give you a device. You can pay right there,
There you
move
go.
on.
Yeah.
I like that stuff.
That's the M60.
So the M60 helps out with that by having all kinds of integrated payment capabilities to speed customers along wherever they are.
All right, sir.
It's equipped for dip, tap, and swipe, not a TikTok dance. Once again, just to point that out.
And you don't want me doing that.
So that means it accepts EMV cards with chips, NFC contactless payments for cards and mobile devices, and traditional magstripe cards as well. Again, if you're still using those for
That
some
old technology.
reason. Perfect for tableside service, line busting, curbside pickup, anywhere your customers need to accept payments. So if I was out shopping, someone hands me that, I'd probably be, on board with them even a little bit more. Like I'm
100%.
coming back here just because
Because they're cool.
you have this. Your service could be terrible, your food could be nasty,
But you got great
but you
equipment.
got great equipment and made it easy for you to pay. Yeah. All right, I'm a little more. My bar's a little higher than that. To learn more about this amazing device, check out the link in the show notes or contact the BlueStar ELO team. TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by Zebra. Hey, resellers!
What? Yes.
Just making sure we got everyone's
Good
attention.
Lord, you just scared me.
Now, we know you like promotions, discounts, cash rewards, instant rebates.
Holy moly, yeah.
I mean, we get it.
What do you got here,
we were in
John?
sales before. We know that kind of stuff.
100%,
Perks sales people
That's
up.
going to motivate some folks. Yeah. So, you got my attention.
Yeah, there
Keep
you
going.
go. Promotions can help you get a deal over the finish line. It can encourage a stock up. It can pad out your margins or just put a little bit of cash in your pocket if you need it. Well, Zebra's got you covered. They've got an ongoing array of promotions through BlueStar. So here are just a few that they're offering in June 2023 and beyond. Mobile printer instant discount.
Nice.
2D and healthcare scanner cash rewards.
Ooh.
An RFID sleds instant rebate.
Holy moly.
The Go Zebra trade-in program, and so many more.
Yeah, I mean, you want to close out the month, right?
Yeah.
Here we are, June, halfway through the year.
There you go.
Might be a little soft, some people say. What do you need? You need some promotions
There you
like
go.
that. Make
so
it happen.
you can find all of Zebra's current promotions by checking out the link in the show notes or visiting the promotions tab at BlueStarInc.com.